So, John, thank you for joining us here and welcome.
Yes.
So, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes, thank you. My name is John O'Connell. I'm one of the founders of West Cork Distillers based in Skibbereen, West Cork, Ireland.
Okay. When was West Cork Distillers founded and how did it come into being?
Yes, the story of West Cork Distillers is quite particular and peculiar in a lot of ways, as is the case with many Irish things. Myself and two very close friends set up the company, Dennis and Ger McCarthy. The two lads are actually first cousins and we grew up together. We come from a small fishing village called Union Hall. After school I went to work for several large food companies. The two lads became fishermen. They fished trawling off the west coast of Ireland for many years. In the mid 2000s the fishing industry was a very challenging industry because of fish quotas and diesel prices, etc. So the lads asked me, could we go on a new adventure? So we set up West Cork Distillers.
And that was set up in the backyard of a farmhouse or something
It
like
was
that?
Dennis's homestead is based in Brad in Union Hall. We set up in a small sort of shed, for want of a better word, behind Dennis's home place. And it served us very well for a good few years.
Yeah. What was the first still you used?
The first still that we used was a Holstein still, two coupled Holstein stills. Then we went on to build two other stills. Unfortunately for many people, we don't give our stills elaborate names. We call them PPS 3 and 4, CPS 1 and 2, which is maybe not the most imaginative.
Okay. So you started producing in which year?
We started producing in 2003, 2004, but we really only sort of gained real momentum in about 2008.
Okay. That was when you moved from this little facility to a larger one here in Skibbereen?
Yes, exactly. We moved from Union Hall, where we're all from, into Skibbereen town in I think it was 2013. We moved into what we thought was a huge facility at the time, and moved all the distillation, bottling. At that stage we were still warehousing in a third party, but we subsequently brought that all in-house also.
And you grew out of that considerably fast, didn't you?
We did, much faster than I thought we would. When we moved into Market Street in Skibbereen, I imagined that was it, we would never move again. But just last year, in December of 2016, we moved into a new 12.5 acre site in Marsh Road in Skibbereen. And but that is filling up very quickly as well, yes.
So you will be moving this year?
At the moment, we distill 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in Market Street. The hope is that we'll have the full distillation capacity plus additional capacity in Marsh Road by the end of this year.
You built an amazing pot still called the Rocket.
Yes.
And it's not only called the Rocket because it looks like one,
Yes.
because it's blazingly fast, isn't it?
It's extraordinarily fast. The Rocket, its official name is the TPS, but the operators still, they very quickly gave it the name the Rocket. It's an extraordinary still with a heating coil to liquid ratio of 1:1, which is extraordinarily peculiar. It distills in less than 10 minutes, and as such I think it's the fastest still in the world. We built it ourselves to meet our own unique requirements for making Irish whiskey. It's triple distilled, so in our opinion, and this is only our opinion, the first distillation is about recovering the alcohol, and then we do that very quickly and very efficiently with as less heat load as possible on the wash, and then after that we do the second and third distillation very slowly.
How did you come up with the idea? I mean, it's not usual that you design a pot still from right to scratch, isn't it?
No, it's very peculiar actually. I suppose where we're coming from is, and a lot of people find this, they don't understand it, but my background is I work for food companies, Unilever and Kerry Group, and as such we brought learnings from the food industry into the distillation industry. Another thing is the lads, they were fishing on trawlers, and every boat leaks, no matter how. And when you're 500 miles off the coast of Ireland, and your life relies around moving liquid from the inside of the boat out into the ocean again very quickly. You obviously become an expert in the movement of liquid. So we took the learnings from the food industry and the fishing industry and marine industry into the whiskey production, which was very unique.
Now, talking about the production, you have quite a lot of different expressions and different styles.
Absolutely.
And when we had the tasting yesterday in the evening, we were amazed by how many experimental things you do.
Yes.
So that's within your DNA that you're doing so much experimental whiskies?
Absolutely. My own background is research and development, so we're always very interested in trying and exploring new techniques. I think that in the scope of Irish whiskey, blended Irish whiskey is a huge category, but I think there's massive scope for sort of differentiating yourself from the more mainstream blends, and the best way of doing that is actually creating new liquids rather than just branding and marketing per se.
Could we talk a little bit about your core range and the expressions in there?
Yes.
And how you would describe them?
Well, the core range that we have is absolutely the West Cork range. We have a pretty standard blend in that, a 75-25 blend. That's the West Cork bourbon cask, matured in bourbon casks. That's pretty standard. Then we have West Cork black cask, which is one of my particular favourites. It's again a blend, 66-33, so very high in malt. It's double matured in charred cask, double charred cask, char level number 5, so that brings an extra sweetness and extra vanilla. What makes it unique, I think, is that it's an innovative blend. To date, people have sort of defaulted that the blend is something standard and then the pot still or single malt or the premium or the innovative element. We think that within the blend area there's also scope for innovation and doing something a bit new and interesting, and that can sell at a reasonable price also.
And is there anything up in the pipeline that will be released for Germany in the next time that you can talk about?
I can, absolutely. We're going to release 2 products before the end of the year. They're called the West Cork Glengarriff series. They're quite unique products in that we've used a new charring technology where we char the casks using Irish bog oak or peat from the Glengarriff forest here in West Cork, and that adds very unique flavour. By charring the cask using peat, you get a bit of smokiness into the cask, and that translates into the liquid. Using bog oak, you get a little spiciness and quite a complex, very engaging whiskey, which I think the Irish or consumers of Irish whiskey will find very interesting.
So charring this with peat, that requires quite high temperatures.
Absolutely.
How do you achieve them?
Well, we've unique bellowing technology for doing so. And what's ironic actually is that when we do so, we actually are very careful of the temperature, that it's not too hot, because we want only partial sort of combustion of the peat in order to generate smoke. Very aggressive high temperature charring will result in a lot of flame and a lot of heat, but very little smoke. So it's very sort of important to get the balance correct between smoke and heat.
Okay. One of your very big successes, not only in Germany but internationally, was the Porkwhisky.
Yes, yes.
So how did that come into being?
The Porkwhisky is a very sort of unique and particular whiskey. It's named after the band, the Pogues. Basically, we came up with the concept, we thought of it ourselves. We said, why not do something a little different? We are all big fans of the Pogues, the music band. I think their values are somewhat similar to West Cork Distillers in that a little unconventional, like to challenge the process, but inherently the Pogues are a hugely quality band and their music was always great value. So there was this challenging sort of bohemian, non-conventional aspect of the Pogues, but then aside from that, there was a band that played superb, great quality music. So we hope to create whiskey that sort of was matched to that.
And as I understood, you have something close to that up your sleeves for the future, but you're not ready to talk about that.
We are trying to bring something like that to the table. Again, something a little challenging. It's not across the line yet, so maybe it's a bit premature to talk about it, but maybe in the future, if we can get it together, people will see that.
Finally, if someone wants to try West Cork whiskey for the first time, which of your expressions would you recommend and why?
To be honest, it's all about occasion and where you are and what mood you're in and what you want to do. If it's a lovely sunny day, maybe West Cork Original with a bit of ginger ale is nice. The West Cork Black Cask in cocktails is quite nice, even though I think that people are overemphasizing the use of alcohol or whiskey in cocktails. I prefer whiskey straight. And then maybe if you want a contemplative motive, the West Cork single malt is a very enjoyable drink.
So, John, thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
Have a nice time and thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks very much.